Shalom, people. This is Brother Laws coming at you with another video. And last week I did do a video, but what happened was I was trying to turn it into a podcast and upload it into YouTube because it's a lot of times if you especially if you're using a cell phone to do your broadcasts, and then you try to upload it to YouTube. Like with mine, if I go over an hour, sometimes it might take me half the night for the thing to upload. So I have been investigating doing a podcast and then uploading it into YouTube as a video where you just hear you hear the lesson, but you just don't have the video. And so I decided to do that because if I decide to go over an hour, it won't take me half the night just to upload one lesson, and my computer is tied up. So this is my plan. I'm not saying I'm gonna necessarily stick to it. The plan is if I'm gonna do a lesson, which usually is the Sabbath service that I'm teaching my family. If it goes over an hour, I'm gonna turn it into a podcast and upload it to YouTube, and you'll just see the little picture in the background. If I do a lesson, say 30 minutes, or I just do a talk like I'm doing right now, I'm just talking generally and just giving you an update on, because I see I got a few more subscribers. Just let you know what's going on, let you know that I'm not slacking. And on top of that, there has been times that I have made videos, but going back and looking at them, just some of the technical issues that I had trying to get the thing uploaded, or maybe it was I would cut off because the cell phone got too much bits that was being used, and it would cut me off in the middle of the recording. I would just have to delete that that lesson and try to start over. So sometimes I would just say I'm gonna just have to do that lesson again. So I'm just letting you know that's what the plan is, that if I do anything over an hour, and then on top of that just trying to figure out how to turn the video into a podcast. I went through several different programs that I seen on YouTube on how to turn I had an M4, I forgot what it was, M4E or something that I had, and I had to turn that into MP4, and then I had to turn the MP4 into MP3, and then I had to convert that and upload that into YouTube. And I went through, I actually signed up for a couple of programs that would convert the video into audio, and then and a couple of them didn't work. So I finally, and it had to be the Most High Yah that led me to go back to YouTube again, and I typed in how do you convert because I got it into an MP3, but I couldn't get the MP3 to upload. But finally what happened was I went back to YouTube, and it was this video that this guy did. It showed me how to use the Windows program that I already had and turn the MP3 and into a format where it could be uploaded into YouTube. So the video that you or rather podcast that you will see called "We Need the Spirit," that was the culmination of over a week it's worth of trial and error. I think you enjoy the lesson. I think it's very important today, given with, you know, we have so much going on with so many multiplicity of teachers and thoughts out there, that first and foremost that you really need to be born again, but also that you need to be filled with the Spirit. You need to walk in the Spirit, because um, the last days, as I always say to people, started when Yeshua came first to the earth. That was when the clock was ticking. So we've been, as John said in the book of First John, we've been living in the last days since then. So now we're getting close to the end part of the last days. So you can imagine that the evil is much more persuasive, much more focused in on how to trip up people that are believers in Yeshua. And so the only way that you can win this daily walk, I'm talking about just living life, and I'm not talking about going out and trying to cast out devils and all that stuff. I'm talking about just living your everyday life, living for Yah. You need to be filled with the ruah of the Spirit, as you know, some people say. And even then, because iniquity, which don't misunderstand me, before Yeshua came, the world was evil. But Satan, Hasatan, knew after what Yeshua did on the stake, and how he went down, as I said in one of my lessons, how he went down into the heart of the earth and led captivity captive. When Satan seen those captives that had been captive before Yeshua came, he seen Yeshua take them up into the heavens with him, he knew that his time was fastly running out. That is why you seen the brutality and but also the increase of knowledge in the last 2,000 years. You know, and now of course for the 1,000 years of the Dark Ages, when the Christian, Roman Catholic Christian Church ruled. But outside of that, you have seen the progression of evil, the codifying of evil. You've seen the codifying of a form of belief in Yeshua, a counterfeit by Satan, that he grew from the Roman Empire that had failed. That Satan took that, made a counterfeit woman, like we was talking about in the book of Revelations, where you have the two women. You had the true woman, which is Israel, which is us, and then you had the Christian church, or the Roman Catholic Church, which is the whore. And he grew that thing into the and so it's a debate on who has more people. Is it Roman Catholicism, Christianity, or is it Islam? I would say right now, I think Christianity, Roman Catholicism has more, to me, people in it. Now, that in itself lets you know, because Yeshua said that in when he talked to John in the book of Revelations, he said that the devil would go out and he would deceive the whole world. How was he able to do that? When he took over the message of the gospel, when the Romans took over in 325 AD, they was able to, yes, they had part truth, but they had a whole lot of lies. But they was able to spread it out throughout the whole world and use it as a galvanizing force to galvanize all peoples around the world around this picture of this Caesar Borgia guy, and told you that he's the son of God and all this stuff, and at the same time take away land, take away rights and all this stuff in the name of the Christianity or whatever. Of course, we know Protestantism broke away from that, but Protestantism pretty much still did some of the same practices that its mother, the Roman Catholic Church, was doing. So it still was a chip off the old block. It was still doing it, and all along, the true woman was in the wilderness, which is Israel, which is our people that have been scattered, and we were still in our blindness. But those that had been grafted in to the real olive branch, they said, we don't want that. We don't want that olive branch. We don't want that olive tree. We'll make our own tree. We'll make our own counterfeit tree. And this is what Yeshua is telling us in the last days. You gotta come out. You gotta come out of that tree. You got to come out and be grafted into the real tree, which is Yeshua. You got to be, because he when he says this over and over and over and over and over and over again in Revelation, come out from her, my people, and be not partaker of her sins, he is totally serious. And you know, my understanding that this came about what Christianity was really about before I came into this understanding of who we are, of us being the people. I came into this understanding just the, you know, about the Christmas and about the Easter and about the Halloween. I came into that understanding of that stuff years ago, and I'm here to tell you, if you don't begin the process of coming out of it and getting yourself, grafting yourself into the, not into a building or not into a group of people, but into the stream of I don't want to say consciousness, because it makes you think about the hoteps and all that. I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about a consciousness, a mind thought of Yah son, when he said you have the mind of Yeshua. If you don't get the mind of Yeshua, forget being in a Hebrew camp, forget being in a Christian church. Get the mind of Yeshua. This is what you need. I'm talking about to concentrate on what you need to do to stay on this path. And it's the spirit that speaks the things of Yeshua into your mind. Because if you don't get that, then what's gonna happen is, just as it was in the days of Noah, the Bible said that the thoughts of men were only evil continually. This is what, if you are a believer in Yeshua, and you know you're being bombarded with this stuff every day, and you won't be able to withstand if you don't have the mind of Yeshua to try to knock off some of those thoughts and say, that thought's not from Yah, that's not him speaking that to me. I gotta knock this stuff off. Now, there's not many things that a lot of the quote-unquote Christian theologians say that I'll hold dear like I did before I knew what they were talking about. But there's one thing that Martin Luther, the reformer, said that I do like about the thoughts that comes in your mind from Satan. He said that you can't stop the birds from flying over your head, but you can stop them from building a nest. And so we have to do that. It's the same thing with all these holidays. You got so many commercials and stuff coming at you, telling you it's the most wonderful time of the year. You got the Black Friday sales. You got the family members asking you how come you want to be, crazy in some crazy cult and not which remember what I just told you. I stopped celebrating this stuff even before I came into the understanding of who we were. So my family been kind of looking at me kind of crazy anyway. Like, you why you wanna? I don't because I don't want to give my energy to the enemy. The Bible say to him to know to do good and don't, to him it is evil. And you say, well, is it evil for you to get together with your family? No, it's not. If you could just get together on some other day, let's do it. But the thing is, that's the thing. People want to get together on that special day, and by them doing that, they are paying homage to the enemy, whether they want to believe it or not. And so my thing is, if you're gonna be able to withstand getting a mark and all this other stuff, if you can't deal with not celebrating these pagan wicked holidays, man, you're in bad shape. That's small potatoes. That's small potatoes. Not doing that stuff and not being fearful of it, man, I'm telling you, there's a whole lot more people that I found out that know about all these holidays being wicked holidays, but they choose not to because, again, like I said, this Satan has had all these thousands of years to perfect this thing, and he's created such an atmosphere in the air that even some of the most, learned people, prayer people can find themselves compromising and saying, yeah, but it's for the children. That's why I'm so glad that I don't have to deal with that. But even when my kids, I want to give you the impression that all my children's life that they didn't have Christmas and Easter. Now that's not true. But I will say that in their latter, before they got out of high school, that's when I came in an understanding of what this stuff is, and we threw the Christmas tree out. We stopped, getting the presents. Well, let me take that back. We did get the presents, but now I don't even do that. I don't do none of that because I don't want to give my energy. Do you understand that the Bible said that broad is the way that leadeth into destruction, and many go that way, but a narrow is the way that leads to righteousness, and there are few that find that path. I'm not saying that if you don't celebrate Christmas and all that shows that you're spiritually giant or whatever. But I'm saying when it comes to just basic stuff, that's basic stuff that we should know that's not of Yah, and that because some people try to say, well, you made, they'll try to use the pharisaical approach. I'm saying, oh, that's Pharisee stuff, that's Mr. Grinch stuff or whatever. And that's kind of like the guy that's a Christian in Las Vegas, and he said, well, he's a bouncer at a strip club, and he said, well, I'm not going inside the strip club. I'm just getting people out that's disagreeing. I'm not, those naked women, seeing them women. I'm not there for the naked women. I'm there to take care of my family. It's totally ridiculous. We have to make certain everyday stands, and this holiday thing is an everyday stand. Even it's some of your places of employment, when you say, hey, and some people say, oh, I want to get promoted, I gotta go to the Christmas party or whatever. And what I've discovering, and this is even, like I said again, before I even came into this knowledge of who we are, it all came to my mind that almost every day we are being put in the position of receiving the mark, because you do realize that you can receive the mark of the beast without getting a chip in you, right? You can receive the mark of the beast, the mark of being a child of Satan, is not so much to getting the chip in your forehead or in your right hand, because this is what I believe. I believe that before you even get the chip, it's just like when you're born again. You were born again before you go down in the water. I know there's a lot of people that disagree with that. They say, oh, the salvation is not sealed until you actually go down in the water. There's a lot of questions about the baptismal regeneration amongst apostolic. When I was in the Christian church with the apostolics, and now here in the, this Hebrew thing. But you gotta believe that if you make Yah touches your heart and you ask you ask Yeshua into your life and you're born again, that if on the way to the lake or the Y or wherever you're going to get baptized you die, that he said, oh, you can't go in because you didn't get to baptize in the water. I have to believe that he said if your heart has been circumcised, right, that you're born again, but that the water baptism is a act of obedience for service, right? You understand what I'm saying? Because understand what I'm saying, right? Was Yeshua not going to be able to carry out the ministry? Was the going down in the water of Yeshua in the Jordan, is that what made him become the son of Yah, or was he the son of Yah before he went down in the Jordan River when John baptized? No, it was an act of obedience. He said it suffer us to do all acts of obedience. So he was the son of Yah, and the Father validated him for his obedience with the Holy Ruach coming and coming down upon him for his obedience, right? You see what I'm saying? And so getting back to the point about the baptism, yeah, you got to be. If you can, you need to go and be baptized. But if something happened to you in between the time that you made your profession of Yeshua, you're born again. Because think about this, and I'll leave this point. Did the people that Yeshua went down into the lower parts of the earth that had died in faith, believing that he was coming, did they have to be baptized? Now they had already died, and these basically what was in the center of the earth was their spirit bodies. Did those spirit bodies have to go be baptized before they could go up into they're in the altar that's up underneath heaven now? If you go to Revelations, it talks about the souls of those that died in Yeshua. So they're up on the altar under the throne. So they're not up there with Yah, but they're under the throne. They're under the altar, which is under the throne of Yah. So praying, the Bible said they're praying for vengeance to come upon their enemies. They're praying. They're up there praying for us. So I take great comfort in that, but I'm not going to rabbit trail. But did they have to be baptized in water before they went? Oh, Yeshua took them up in the. He said the blood has paid the price, but the water is obedience. The water baptism is obedience. So that's just use, common scriptural sense. Getting off of that subject for 1 second, I wanted to talk about this one subject that I think I really need to address, is about this Cain doctrine. The doctrine that either Satan or a fallen angel got Eve pregnant, and that's who Saint Cain is. This is a totally occultic doctrine. Back when I was a Christian, I had a real heated argument with this one guy, a white guy. I don't know if he was a Mormon, I don't know what he was, but somehow we got on that subject, and he was basically trying to say that black people were the offspring of Cain, and we were the illegitimate child that Eve had after she slept with the devil, and man, me and him got into it. So I've been knowing about this stuff for a long time now. I know you was gonna say, "Well, how can you believe that the angels came and slept with the daughters of men and produced giants?" I believe that. I'm not saying that it wasn't possible that it would have been, but that's not what the scripture says. The scripture does not say. You could try to read it and say that Eve slept with the devil or with a fallen angel, but that's not what it is. Because why would Yah why would Yah turn around and allow Adam to sleep with Eve after she had slept with? No, no. That is a totally erroneous doctrine. And what that does to those that want to not discount the sons of God, scripture in the 6th chapter of Genesis, they turn around and say, this is why we don't mess with that stuff, because you trying to say Eve. No, I'm not saying. I don't believe that. But clearly the 6th chapter is saying that. But Eve did not. That is a totally occultic doctrine, and that was created to try to explain our blackness as being the mark that Cain had on him. Well, actually several versions, because obviously if y'all put a mark on Cain, then he couldn't have been born black. So see, it's all kinds of places, some variations of this. I would just say that Cain was the son of Adam and Eve. He was, and the reason I say that is, if you try to say that Eve had this the Cain by the devil or by a fallen angel, and that created another seed line. How did that seed line get on the ark if Yah has, which is for the very reason that Yah preserved Noah and his sons and daughters, because their seed line was pure? That would have totally defeated the purpose of him destroying everybody. If he said, "Well, I'm gonna say just Noah and his family," even though I know some of their seed, they got some of Cain's seed in them, it wouldn't have made sense, right? It wouldn't have made sense. No, what it was when Adam and Eve sinned. That's when the quote-unquote sin gene came into man. The genetic alteration that was brought about by the Genesis 6 incursions of the fallen angels with the daughters of men was totally different. That's when they was actually going in and genetically manipulating things. It's sort of like today, you got now, of course, that they don't want to say, but they got some hybrid people that's probably walking around this earth, because they already kind of hinted at. I get some military magazines, and they've already talked about if they could get special forces soldiers that had the capability like dogs that can see on and hear on different spectrums. And don't you think that they would cross those genes, something in there, into a person that would volunteer for it, and that it's already been done? Hitler did as much as did that back in the leading up to World War II and during World War II. That's why they pulled all those Nazi scientists into America and Russia to get all those experiments that they had done, that they had got through the cult and stuff that the cult people probably had known. They turned into scientific experiments. It was the same thing that was done before the flood. The sin gene per se was still in Cain and was in Abel. That's why they had to sacrifice. So if Cain, if Abel, if Abel didn't have the sin gene in him, why did he have to offer a lamb? No, sin, the malfunction in of sin in mankind came about by Adam and Eve falling, not by Eve sleeping with the devil and producing a offspring called Cain. No, it's not. So, and to prove that point, in Hebrews, the Bible talks about the blood of Abel crying out from the ground, and it says that the blood of Yeshua, which was shed for our sins, speak of better things than that of Abel. If Abel's blood was the pure blood or whatever, there wouldn't have been no need for Yeshua to come and die. There wouldn't have been no need. Now, what people bring out about after the flood, the incursion, second incursion by the fallen angels to re-manipulate the seed line, I believe that did happen. I believe it probably happened started happening around the time that they started doing the Tower of Babel, that they were getting into some of the occultic things again, where they was, because you can kind of read about Nimrod, which in the Mesopotamia his name is Gilgamesh, and you see some of the reliefs that they got from Babylon of who Gilgamesh was supposed to be. You see that he has 6 fingers and 6 toes, and he's holding a fully grown lion in his arm like it's a kitten. So you can see that they were starting to do that, but it didn't happen. It didn't happen because they brought a corrupted seed on the ark with them. It happened that because after they got off the ship and mankind started getting big, because they just had the sin gene in them to think evil, that they went right back to doing the wickedness that they was doing, and y'all had to slow down mankind getting back to the stage that they was before the flood. Y'all just parted all men apart, because what did he say? He said, if I don't part them up at the Tower of Babel, he said nothing in their mind that they think to do will be withheld from them, meaning they will go right back to the same way they was before the flood, because that's where we're at now. We're at the same stage that they were at before Yah destroyed the earth with the flood. We into the genetic mixing. We got hybrid people walking on this earth. If you don't believe that, look in China, where they don't have no restrictions. And I know I'm going all over the place, but this is just what's coming to my mind. They got all kinds of tall people over there, and I seen a crazy video earlier this year. I think either it was Watchmen reports or Redirecting. They put out of these tall, about 7-foot giant men in China, and they had them in some kind of enclosure, and they looked like mongoloid type individuals, but it was a bunch of them. You remember in Revelations it talks about a army that's gonna march from the kings of the east of over 250 million. A strong army that's gonna march toward the Euphrates River, and I believe that's what China is doing. They're creating under the auspices of America, because America still got they got these American corporations that got strong ties with China. You got sports teams and everything that got, even with this embargo, a tariff war or whatever, they tied to China, because China can produce so much wealth, and they also can carry out a lot of these experiments and stuff that no other country would dare do. When they came out with those glow-in-the-dark pigs and all this other stuff, there's no telling what they got going on over there. And that's not to say that America here ain't doing some of the same experiments, and probably over across in Canada they've been known to do some crazy experiments. If you know anything about the spider goat, the thing where they, and I remember reading this as a young boy, where they talked about, it was in the Parade magazine when I was a little boy, that was our internet right there. You get the Sunday paper and you have all this stuff in there. And I remember reading this. This is back in the 70s. If I had been thinking, I would have kept the article. But I remember reading about a spider goat. And I thought it was so fantastical until when the second Gulf War kicked off. They talked about the new bulletproof vest that they got that was made out of this fabric that was harvested from the milk of a goat that had spider genes in it, where the silk of the web of the spider is stronger than steel, where they was able to put the genetics of the spider with the goat. They did this back in the 70s, and they took the milk and was able to synthesize it into fiber and make the bulletproof vest. A new form of Kevlar was super strong but super light. So this stuff is going on. We don't even know if some of these armies and some of these people and stuff that we be seeing are even people. They talk about these underground bases where they're carrying out experiments, and sometimes experiments get loose, and they have to lock down and everything. I believe it's happening. I believe they already introduced them to the world, and that's one reason why I believe Yah's got to come back, because with the body modifications and stuff that they can do now, just like Yah said in Genesis, he said if he doesn't do something, nothing that they imagine to do will be held back from them. They already that's why I don't understand people that don't believe that we've gone to the moon. They've gone to the moon because Obadiah tells you, though you make your nest in the stars, I'll bring you down. Y'all knows, hey, I can't let them get. I'm not gonna let them go past the moon. They want to go to Mars. They sent probes and stuff out there, but I think he's gonna send Yeshua back before that. Now, we just gotta be very prayerful today, because there's a lot of wicked stuff going on out there. It really is. So on that note, I'm going to tell you to share this video. I'm going to ask you to like, and I'm going to ask you to subscribe, and I'm going to ask you to leave a comment. And like I said, I'm not ashamed of the gospel of Yeshua HaMashiach. And I'm encouraging you, those that know, the basic stuff. Don't be fearful to let people know your position when they ask you. When they ask you about these holidays, when they ask you about, do you believe, like they say, you hear about those black people that say that they Hebrews or Jews or whatever, you believe that? I be like, yeah, but I'm not gonna go around and blast this out to everybody, because everybody's not ready for it. And the way I see how Yah is doing it, he's basically the people. This is how what my observation has been, that most of the people that I see that have embraced this is the people that came out of the quote-unquote Christian church long before they knew about us being the people, and because we knew that it had to be something. It was something wrong with the quote-unquote Christian church. It had to be something better, and now we know that it is that the true woman, true Israel, has been denied, and the very thing that Paul told the Gentiles not to do, to boast. They didn't just boast about them being grafted in. They decided to make their own whole new tree, and that's that tree that you see what Yeshua talks about, and he talks about the mustard seed that he put the mustard seed in the ground and it grew into a big gigantic tree full of all kinds of birds and stuff like that. That's an anomaly. Because I went back to study that, and most of the people said, first of all, when they wrote that, their understanding of whether it's supposed to have been a mustard tree seed or whatever, that actually it's it's an anomaly. It's just like the thing where he talked about the sower of the seeds, where he said that good and bad seed was sold to, well, the good seed was sold first, but the bad seed was sold in there, and it looked just like. He said, but you couldn't. It had so tangled itself into with there, but that you couldn't tell what was the wheat and what was the tare. So it's the same thing. You can't tell the real tree from the good tree because their roots, they might be side by side, right? And their roots are tangled up together, so that if you try to root up the bad tree, you might pull the good tree up too. He said, let them grow, and at the end, Yah said he gonna come in and he gonna the tree that's not good, that's not producing the kind of fruit that he wants, that's not right, he's gonna hew it down and cast it into the fire. But the tree that is producing the fruit is gonna stand, because it's by the living, it's tied into the living waters of Yeshua. So let's just be very careful these days. And I'm gonna go ahead and sign off, and I'll probably be doing another video. So I just tell you, happy Sabbath. Be blessed.